All right, everyone, welcome back to the semi-hollow guitar build. This is part 4. Is this good or is it not? Success or failure? Kind of a mixed bag is what I'll tell you. As far as the way the guitar looks, I mean, I don't have pickups, but I've been playing it acoustically. Everything about the setup is just, it's spot on. I mean, it's really got a great voice. This isn't going to come through the phone very good, but yeah, I mean, it plays great. It's got a big voice. So you know, from that regard, I am really happy with the way that this turns out. It looks great. Right now, the weight, it's under 8 pounds. You know, I'm still missing a few things though. It'll definitely be over 8 pounds when it's all done. You know, this is a big guitar. So a couple things. Let's go through a couple things where I need to, you know, Rev B needs to be better. First thing, I need to spread these tuners out a little bit. I mean, they tune fine, but I need to spread them out a little bit. Pretty marked angle of the strings here. Maybe need to narrow that up a little bit. So I'll definitely be looking at that. I'm happy with the volute. You know, just the way that your hand rides on here. You know, I roll my thumb over, even when, you know, kind of in your first position here, I roll my thumb over, and it just fits right there, really good. So I'm happy with that. Probably the biggest issue though is, and it's best described with a strap. Now this is a nylon strap, and it's slick, so if there's any kind of unevenness with the weight, you're going to want to get a little neck dive, and it is there. So it's a little neck heavy. Now it'll land about right there. That's where it kind of evens itself out. So little bit of neck dive, need to work on that. Really though, I think the biggest issue for me, and there's been one other player, Brian, that has tried this. And I'm going to describe it as being SG-ish, where your hand is out here just a little too far. It's more of a reach than what you're generally accustomed to. And I think the easiest way to describe it, now when I put the guitar this way and I'm kind of resting it on my knee, you know, I've kind of pulled the guitar this way some, and this is a very natural position for me to play right here. Right? It's where I like to play. Now if I'm standing though, I guess I can do that. You can do it, but now when I'm playing that chord, I'm strumming back here closer to the bridge. So and it's just my natural way of doing it. So what I'm going to do right here, kind of gauging myself by that screw right there holding the trim ring on, and turn this around. I'm going to measure this, and I'm going to describe it this way to you. So that is about 22.5, maybe 22 3/4 of an inch from the nut to where I like to strum. Okay. Now I'm going to grab another guitar here. We're going to set this aside, and I'll describe it. So this is one of my Fusion model guitars, and find the end here. Very comfortable to play. Just absolutely, just very comfortable to play. Now when I'm strumming this guitar, I just naturally did it, right? And I'm hitting those strings about right there. So I've just got my eyeball on it. It's kind of halfway, a little closer to the neck pickup than the bridge, but you know, somewhere right in that area. So, and the thing is, this guitar and that guitar has the exact same scale length. They're both 25-inch scale guitars. Now, if I do that, it's somewhere around 21 inches. So I was 22 and a half, 22 and 3/4 on the other one, and I'm over here at 21. So really what that has done, this position here has been static. It's just everything here has moved closer to my body. So the guitar has moved, the neck has moved closer to the body. And I'm going to play this guitar much more comfortably than I'm going to play that other one. Not that one's bad. It's got a little bit of neck dive, but that's a way of demonstrating it. Now let me go ahead and I'll grab that other guitar back. And what's really visual is when you go from one to the other. You use this one, and you play this one, and then you play that one. It's highly noticeable. Right, so I'm here again. I'm automatically, I want to strive for that position right there, but to hit those chords up here, I gotta slide my arm down. So really, what I'm saying is this neck, these pickups, maybe not generally the size of the guitar, the body, but everything here needs to move in. Again, 22 and a half, 22 and 3/4, roughly 21 inches. So it's about 1.5 inches, maybe up to 1 3/4 inches, that this neck needs to move down into the body. Doing that will make this way more comfortable to play. And that's certainly doable, certainly achievable, but the body is going to have to change. The neck, again, with the scale length being 25, it is what it is. So the neck doesn't need to change. And this is a very long guitar. Not really a true measurement, because there's a lot of different ways of looking at this, but I measured a 335 style guitar, a pretty vintage 335, roughly a week and a half ago. And from the nut to the end of the body was, whatever, it was about 34 3/4 inches. All right, so I'm going to measure here again, and I am pretty much 36 3/4. So I'm 2 inches, right? From here to here is 2 inches bigger than your typical 335. I don't necessarily know that that's a problem, other than I know that this neck is too far this way. And again, it's unique or interesting how I'm saying it's 1.5 inches, 1 3/4 inches. I'm measuring it against a kind of the gold standard, if you want to call it that, and it's 2 inches different. So we're definitely here in the ballpark. So my confidence level is, if I move this in, and I'm telling you, I'm going to shoot for 1.5 inches, I think that's really going to solve the vast majority of the feel issues, or the SG-ish hanging way on out here to grab those chords. I believe that's going to solve the issue. So how do we do that? Really, and the interesting thing about this body shape, and here's the thing: once you get the outside shape of, and I don't care what guitar it is, what the guitar looks like, once you're happy with the outside shape, doing all the other features to build the guitar to make it look like this, really at the end of the day, that's kind of the easy part. But what's hard is getting this shape so it looks good. What is your distance here? How does that related to your width here? Your horns, how are they good? And you'll spend way more time manipulating the outside shape than you will anything else. So how am I going to achieve? How am I going to achieve this? And really, me just looking here, I'm going to shrink this waist. We're going to shrink that in a little bit, which is going to pull these in as well. These horns here is going to pull those in. And really, I just need to bring everything down. And so I think it's going to be narrower here. These horns are going to come in a little bit. And that's going to allow all of this to shift down. The bridge, pretty much from here all the way around, from here, that's going to stay exactly the same. Even the very start of this waist right here, probably that point isn't going to change. So the bottom half, the bottom half of this guitar is going to be exactly what it is. So that's where we're headed. And really, when I do this, I'm going to do a couple of things, and this is going to solve the neck dive issue that it has. And seriously, I mean, that was a nylon strap. If you had, a padded strap or even a leather strap that was rough on the bottom side, this thing would hang, and you wouldn't even know, wouldn't even notice that it had a neck dive. But I like to use those straps like that because they don't lie. They tell the full story. So yeah, that's where we're at. I need some design time on the computer. In fact, I'll probably do another screen recording. We'll put that here on the end, and you'll kind of get a feel for the where this is headed. Off to St. Louis tomorrow. I've got to go pick up some tone wood, get the design done. Probably use poplar again. Probably finish it very similar to this. Oh, I just remembered one other thing that I'm going to do differently this time. This wall thickness, and if you can see, if you can look in the F hole, the thickness of this top between here and on the inside, I did it at 200 thousandths, so it's a little beefier. Being it's getting a little on the heavy side, what I'm going to do, I'm going to thin this out. I'm going to thin this out to 150 thousandths. So I'm going to narrow this top. I think that's going to give it a little even more ring to it. There's just going to be less wood in there. So I'm going to narrow that in a little bit. The other thing from a weight perspective is with everything coming down, there's going to be it's going to be lighter. The other thing that I'm going to do on this next build, this was a maple neck. And generally I use mahogany. So when I run to St. Louis, I'm going to get a piece of poplar, and I'm telling you, it takes a big chunk of poplar for this. I need an 8-foot board to make this guitar. I need an 8-foot board, and roughly 8.5 to 9 inches wide, and that's and 6/4. So that's a substantial amount of wood to make this body. Poplar's a great first start, and frankly, I don't think it looks half bad. Turned out pretty nice. The back's even a little better. I didn't seal it at all. You just get more color that soaks in with the end grain than you do on the surface grain. That's why it's darker. Almost gives it a little bit of a burst look. And that was totally by accident. But hey, take it. So I'm going to do the mahogany neck, and that's where we're headed. So hang tight. We'll show you some computer stuff, and that'll be it for part 4. Catch you guys soon. All right, everyone, what I've got shown here is really what I'm going to call a size comparison between the Rev A solid body and the Rev B that I'm going to be going towards to fix the issues that we talked about. So this one over here is the size. It's just a top-down view of the sketch that created the semi-hollow body, and that is the one that the guitar that exists. This one over here is the one that I'm going to be going towards. So obviously, I mean, there's a lot of similarity, but there are definitely some things that are different. This black line here is just demonstrating datum, so we can get an idea of size of the guitar. The thing that I really want you to notice first off here is relative this line right here and that line right there, how much lower this one is, how much lower these pickups are, the bridge and the tailpiece, how these have really moved down. And I'll zoom in a little bit, and just to get an idea, I don't want that. Let me try this. We're going to try that point and this point right here. And remember I said I was shooting for an 1.5 inches lower. So it's just 1.479, a little less than 1.5 inches. But that's how much that neck is going to move closer to my body. Will it need to come a little more? I don't know. I don't want to go too far, but at the same time, you need to go far enough. So we'll try that 1.5 inches, see how well that works. Something else I want to draw your attention to is notice this right here. I'm going to catch that point right there and just draw that across. Now that line is parallel with the neck pocket, and look how close that is. It probably isn't even a 1/10 of an inch. It's gonna be real close.
66 thousandths. So it's not very much at all, almost flush. And compare that with this new design. There's a substantial amount of distance here. We'll measure that too. And yeah, you can see it over here, down here in the corner, 0.833. So we gained a significant amount. And really what that does, so there's two things that are happening here. The neck is moving down in the body, and this point where the strap button is going to be is actually getting pulled out towards the nut. So the nut is moving closer to the body, and the strap button here is moving closer to the nut. So those in combine are really going to make a huge swing in the balance point of this guitar. And meanwhile, the whole entire bottom of it hasn't changed. So it's really going to change that pivot point. There's going to be added a lot more weight down here on the body side with this approach. I truly think that that's going to end up solving the issue. I mentioned that the waist is going to be tighter, and you can definitely see that that is the case. We can measure that real quick, what it was and what it is. It's right at 11 inches there. And let's measure this one. So we went from 11 inches to what is this? A little over 10.2. So we lost about 8/10 of an inch in the waist right here. Really, this horn, I mean, it moved closer, but this geometry of the horn and everything right here is really similar. It's very similar to this side, other than the waist shrunk a little bit and it got pulled in. This over here is definitely a little more different. I specifically moved this horn out some to try to find a little better balance point. But you can get an idea of it there. So yeah, um, this is Rev B. I think it's gonna be better and not be so much SG-ish. Um, I do have some of the design work. Actually, I think I've got most of the design work done. Let me see right here. Yeah, so this is the new top. The profile here is exactly the same. So that should give a very common feel. Neck joint, it's got the new neck joint that we've talked about, but it looks very similar. And you do things and you get better. I figured out how to close off these hollow points so it looks better. Check out the bottom here. Um, Again, you get a feel, figure out how to close those hollow points out, so you really get to know what that looks like. Neck pocket there is a little bigger, and last I have this full design, so you get a feel for the new look. And so yeah, very very similar, but yet it's got a little narrower waist, and this horn over here is a little more pronounced. Something else I did, just based on some player feedback, and um, I beveled this a little more here, and I also beveled the top side, so that should definitely give a little more hand spacing in there because it's still a pretty good thick chunk of wood right there. So I think that'll help. And there you have it. That's part 4. And next up, I'm going to be getting some material tomorrow, and then I'll be cutting, and really I'll probably wait until I get the whole thing put together again, put some strings on it, and give everybody a feel for how it is. That will be part 5. Catch you guys soon.